our keynote session earlier today, you must have seen the announcement of Miro Assist. We are super excited about this new feature. Sam is here with us. I'm the product marketing manager for Miro Assist. I've been working on it for a long time now. Sam has just been introduced to Miro Assist, I think over 2 months ago, and he's been absolutely excited about this. We've had so much good stuff coming from Sam and his team, so I'm very excited having Sam over today. I think that's more than enough for me. Sam, do you want to go ahead and give an introduction on yourself?
Thanks, Turner. Yeah, so I'm Sam. I joined Miro 7 months ago to look after employee listening, employee experience, and really focusing on how we listen to employees. And I was a massive fan of Miro as a product before joining the organization, coming in, seeing what it can do for employee listening and turning data into insight has been phenomenal. And yeah, me and Turner have been sort of chatting over the last few months about Miro Assist, and I would very much put myself in the enthusiastic amateur category of how we're using it. But it's changed my life and changed, I think, how I sort of start listen, turn data into insight, and make change happen. So really excited to be here with Turner, talking about my experiences and how we've been using this feature internally.
Wonderful. I love this excitement. So let's just dive into it straight on. Sam, could you tell me what are some of the challenges you normally face when working with qualitative people data?
So I think there's a lot of challenges. First of all, qual data tends to be messy. It's big and it's sprawling, and it can be difficult to sort of work your way through, difficult to process. But I think traditionally when you do surveys or collect qualitative data, there's a lot of categorization, a lot of thematizing. And so the time to action that it takes from people giving you their feedback to turning that into insight, to turning that into action, can take a very long time as well. I'm also really sensitive to the fact that it can be very open to bias. I think that the negative comments always tend to jump out, or the first few comments can kind of color how you look at the rest. So that objectivity, the time, the messiness as well. I think one thing that traditionally is difficult to pick up is sarcasm and typos and people sending comments in a second language where some nuance might get lost. So finding ways to sort of quickly cut through that has always been a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm in marketing, which is obviously different than HR, but I completely resonate with sort of the bias, whether that's intended or not, right? That's something that just happens as humans. So I completely feel that part. So could you tell us a little bit more about your latest employee research that you did?
Yeah, so I've been doing a lot at Miro. I think most recently around surveying, and Miro, we focus a lot on co-creation, on collaboration, involving the voices of people right across the organization. So we've done a couple of surveying projects where we've gone out with quite detailed questions into specific areas, specifically around engagement, and then understanding general sentiment. So what's impacting people's level of engagement, what's impacting people's experience, where we have opportunities to improve, and where we need to take some actions to keep improving engagement and keep focusing on the employee experience. Mm-hmm. So doing that at scale with 1,800 people across however many countries we're in has been challenging, but like a survey program with AI has really helped, again, sort of just pick up the pace and get into a regular cadence and a more regular rhythm there.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, and you already mentioned a few challenges, but could you maybe dive a little bit deeper into some of the key challenges that you faced? And then let's also look at how did Miro Assist help you overcome these challenges?
Yeah, so I think pace is always one. So I referred to it before. So again, we can go out with survey questions, and probably most people watching this are familiar with the engagement survey or the annual engagement survey that comes their way. People tend to read the questions, respond with what's on their mind at the moment, and then wait for action to happen. depending on how many questions there are, so how many employees there are in the organization, the time between filling in survey and actually seeing things happen can be weeks or sometimes months. So getting into a cycle where we can very quickly understand, respond, take action, and then ask again, so we keep the dialogue going, that's always a challenge. So moving from question answer to continuous dialogue, and then navigating the complexity that comes with that as well. So yeah, we see across the world at the moment, everything that's happening, there is so much complexity out there and so much context that can get lost very easily unless you're sort of keeping track and moving quite fast. So there's some of the bigger challenges, and there's some of the things that we've been really focused on as a culture and engagement team at Miro as well, of just really sort of asking with regularity and pace to get into what people are feeling and then what we can do about it.
Yeah, well, I love the fact that you're trying to keep up with the pace, or even sort of defining what the pace should be in these quick changing environments and worlds, while also definitely trying to aim and maintain that quality that you've been able to do over the past few months, even with all this new stuff happening.
Yeah.
All right, so do you want to go ahead and show us how you use Miro Assist for like one of these specific examples that you gave us, so that we can get a bit of an understanding and maybe even view and demo some of the stuff that you've been working on?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to share my screen and jump in. I'm going to give you the caveat here as well, that, like I said earlier, I've sort of put myself in the enthusiastic amateur category. So apologies if my AI use is a little bit clunky here. But again, like, just to come back to the challenge here, it's got to be that the pace we're looking at is fast enough to see changes, but not too fast that we lose the human element to processing this as well. So I think that's really important, just to shout out that this is a very collaborative process between AI and human expertise and the leaders, managers, employers who have a lot of that context as well. But just as an example here, I've got this survey, dummy survey data. So we've got 800 survey responses here, which is from a dummy survey, but is representative of the kinds of things we see. What I would typically do is paste that into a Miro board. So pasting it in as a table, you can see it comes in there. It's a bit too small to read, but you can see where all the text is. And then using Assist, typically, what are the top 5 themes? So typically, this would take a very long time for a human to read through and process. Here, very quickly, this cuts down into, these are the top 5 themes here. So remote work is really important to people. Collaboration, managerial support, so you can see here. In the actual assist bar, it goes into a little bit more depth, but I think we want to focus on remote work. Okay, so we can just pull that up there. I'm going to go back into the table. So you can see here again, what this is doing is just very quickly drilling into specific themes. And how I would normally work this is, in that team meeting situation, or perhaps coaching a leader around this, to ask the question, what really feels important to you at the moment? So what are you seeing in your teams that is important? So remote work is coming up, and based on these comments, how are people feeling about remote work? And let's see what this comes back with. So this is going... Yeah,
what I'm seeing here, just I want to recap, because I think like for some of these people, there might be a lot going on here. So what we're seeing is basically you pulled out some raw data from an employee survey, right? And you pulled it onto the board.
Yes.
And then from there, what we're actually doing is we're asking Miro Assist to help you out with synthesizing or uncovering certain use cases or insights from that data. Is that right?
Exactly, yes. Exactly. So we're pulling the themes out of the data, synthesizing that. I've just highlighted one here. There was a few others. Just for the purposes of demoing this, I'm focusing on remote work as one of the key areas. And then, how are people feeling? it's mixed feelings. There are positive aspects, there are challenges. So this is reading the comments and sort of synthesizing that. Again, what I would normally do here is involve a human team to go back and sort of validate, verify, and check. But let's say I'm just going to delete that and let's focus on the challenges. Maybe what are the top 3 challenges we're seeing around remote work? I'm going to just paste that on the table and then see what comes back. So more specifically now drilling down into some key areas. So what we're seeing from this data set is around remote working. People are perceiving challenges. There's a lot of positive aspects, but people are seeing challenges. The 3 biggest themes around that are work-life balance, collaboration and communication, and then accessing resources and support. And this is probably familiar to lots of people working in hybrid settings. Mm-hmm. Again, how I would sort of typically play this is probably in a team setting and in conversation with people, with people focus down on which one of these areas do we really want to focus on. So I think all 3 are important, but for my team at the moment, or this department at the moment, which one do we think is really important? And so I'd sort of facilitate a discussion around that.
Okay, so this is really sort of the starting point for you to actually have more of the human interaction and engagement with the rest of the team, while making sure that everything that you guys are talking about is definitely data-driven, or at least it's based on the information that you received from the survey.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. And yeah, I'm going through this space again. We would sort of want to really check that again against the data that's there. But if we say, for example, we decide as a team that actually the challenge that we really want to focus on is collaboration and communication. So here I could probably go in with what are some good ideas to help with this challenge. Traditionally, I think in previous sort of survey cycles would sort of open this up to a big brainstorm, would spend a lot of time thinking through what we can do, what we should do. What AI is giving me here is some really good ideas to start with. So I'm just going to put these in as sticky notes. That'll generate there. So using AI here to generate some good ideas. So we could focus on virtual collaboration tools, or document sharing and version control, or feedback and recognition as a means to focus on collaboration.
So Sam, while looking at sort of the steps that you've been taking, it seems that the first few steps and prompts that you actually gave Miro Assist were very much try to uncover the areas where you want to focus on as a team. You potentially, in a normal situation, would have had a collaborative session with some of your team members to decide which ones you want to focus on. And now actually what you're doing is asking Miro Assist to, once you've understood and figured out what these challenges are, help you and the team figure out what can we now actually do to become much more actionable than just synthesizing. Is that right?
Exactly, yeah, exactly. So it's moving very quickly to the action, to like the focus areas. And again, with these, there may sort of be things to add in. So if I was doing this live with a team, I think typically other people would come in with stickies and put in other ideas to sort of build on these, or riff off these, or change them around a little bit. But these are sort of, give a bit of a starter and give some prompts. So if we, just because we're at Miro, I'm going to focus on this one that is virtual collaboration tools. And so, we might agree as a team that actually we want to up our use of virtual collaboration tools. So give me some good ideas to use these kinds of tools. Just as a side note, one of the things I really like about Miro Assist is it's very tolerant of typos and spelling mistakes.
We all need that a little bit more in our lives.
Yes, I'm very, very grateful for that. So again, generating some here. okay, so what we could do is some agile retrospectives. That's a really good idea. Or customer journey mapping, maybe some brainstorming sessions. So this is sort of, again, just drilling down a level further. So we've got the sorts of actions, but let's be a bit more specific. And let's say, just as an example, we're going to focus on brainstorming sessions. So we agree as a team to focus on our brainstorming sessions. What is the benefit? So that's benefit of doing this. So again, this is where it becomes a bit more strategic as well. So we start to look at benefits, outcomes, the sorts of things that will help us measure the impact. So let's say we want to foster a collaborative and productive work environment. Again, I think all the way through as we're doing this really, like, AI is the accelerant here. Yeah, I think my description is always like AI is like having a very intelligent person in the room. They contribute really great ideas. There is still a lot of discussion and contextualization and like human interaction that needs to go along with this. I'm going through quite quickly to show how it sort of comes together, but there will be some nuancing along the way. But I think very quickly we see that there's a bit of a flow here, and then the final part is maybe let's turn this into send this into a SMART goal and create that as sticky notes. So there you go. So coming through this, we've taken the data. Specifically, we're going to improve collaboration. We'll have 50% more brainstorming sessions in the next quarter. This will be, we'll implement virtual collaboration tools such as Miro. The aim will be to foster collaboration, and we're going to do this over the next 3 months. I think from here, we'd probably go into some expectation setting with the team. How are we going to do this? What does this look like? How are we going to hold ourselves accountable? But this journey, I think, I've seen this take a few months. I've seen this take a few weeks. I think at the few minutes we've just done this through is probably a bit too quick, but over an hour, maybe 2 hours, I think to get to a SMART goal makes a huge difference. And turning that sort of 800 comments into something very specific, is game changing for the sort of work that I do.
Yeah. Sam, I mean, it's just amazing to see how you talk us through all these different steps. And I just think it's interesting, like focusing on one part and drilling deeper and deeper and deeper allows you to get much more rich information out of that raw data. And I love to see the way that you put this into action. Like, what are the steps that we can take after this? Because it's not just data synthesis, right? It's actually getting to actionable next steps, because that's what's value for your team members, for your organization.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And just looking at time, so is there any limitations or challenges that you ran into when you're using Miro Assist?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was a learning curve. I think it's not 100% accurate. It's not 100% right. I think sometimes, one of the prompts I use most often is, summarize these comments into themes or give me representative comments. I don't think it's 100%. I'd say it's 80 to 90% accurate. So it still does need the human reads to come in and validate and move some of the the stickies around and put things in the right place. It massively accelerates, but I wouldn't say 100% kind of trust it all the time. I think for me, a big learning curve, and I had a really great session with some people earlier today looking at the kinds of prompts and how the prompts you ask impact the results you get as well. So I think sensitivity to the prompts we're putting in is really important. And then also being really vigilant of what AI is not telling us. So I've just been through that demo, and we've sort of gone into remote work, and, through that very quickly. There's a lot of other data there as well. So, making sure that we're not missing too much by focusing on what AI is telling us. I think there's a bit of a challenge there sometimes, and I recognize this within myself. I can get a bit carried away with the AI and need to sort of step back and take that other view as well.
Cool. And how has Miro Assist been able to transform the way that you're working? And would you recommend it to other team members?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely transformed my way of work. I think, just like I say, it's like having a super intelligent person in the room to debate with. You may not agree with everything they say, but the opinion sparks another opinion. And for me, it's accelerated what we can do. It's allowed us as a team, I think, to do much more of the storytelling, much more of the using data to move to insights. And then that's also very engaging. So how we tell stories, how we engage with people, I think that's transformed. And it's definitely something that I advocate, hugely. The people on my team have been using this quite a lot. It's something I'm really passionate about. For me, it's not about AI, it's not about human, it's about the two sort of working together, and that where they come together, there's so much impact there and so much sort of differentiation that we can offer and sort of take back to people. So that's where I'm sort of really seeing the big impact and where the future's going.
Yeah, I love that. I love to hear sort of that synergy between the human and the AI part, and that just coming together. Hey, I need to be mindful of time. We just have 2 minutes left, I believe. I have, one question for you still. Like, what are the next steps that what are the next steps that you hope to do with AI?
So I've talked about being better at prompting. I would love AI to move towards more visualization. I would love to be better at visualizing and creating theories of change, and more sort of engaging sort of visual layouts. That's huge. Different types of data sets as well. I'd love to bring qual data and quant data together. I'd love to do sort of more demographic division, so sort of rely more on the metadata that comes in as well, and sort of look at how we can compare maybe function to function or across demographics. So those are big next steps for me, I think.
Wonderful. Well, I think that's a brilliant sort of bridge into some of the things that we're planning. So for you, but also for all the folks online, we are going to plan to do some sort of expert sessions where we pull in experts from the field, may that be within Miro or outside of Miro, and run a few sessions. How can you best use Miro Assist in your work with the roles that you're in and the jobs that you're doing? So with that said, Sam, I want to thank you so much for this session. It's been very insightful. I hope everyone online enjoyed it. I saw a bunch of chat come in, so I think people are very, very excited about that. And Sam, again, thank you for joining us.
No, thank you. Thank you very much for having me, Turner. It's been great. And happy to answer any questions that come separately and outside this session as well. So always happy to chat AI.
Wonderful. All right. Well, until this recording ends, let me just see if there's any questions that I can answer. One of the questions that I saw a few times is, what about privacy? What happens with the data that goes into Miro Assist? And then is it trained, or is the data being used to train the models? Just to be very, very clear on that, Miro Assist is enterprise ready. None of the data that goes into Miro Assist is used for training our models, not for our models or any of the other models that we use within Miro. So that's one. The data is also not persist, so we're not storing that data anywhere else. So this makes sure that that all of the data that you put in there stays yours. Let's see. Well, it seems that we haven't been kicked out yet. So let me see if I can answer any other questions. Let's see about access. I see a bunch of people asking about access and if they can see Miro Assist. I see, a bunch of questions around access. Let's answer that one. So if you weren't part of the keynote, then I'll just make sure that everyone's aware here. Miro Assist, in the way that Sam presented us today, will be available starting somewhere at the beginning of November. So as of today, you already have access to a bunch of Miro Assist features, creating sticky notes, creating mind maps, generating diagrams, cards, code, you name it. But what Sam presented today will be available early November. And that's going to be available for all plans on beta, except for now for the education plan. We're working on that really hard, but that will come later at a later moment. All right, I think that's about it. I think we're going to end this session. So Sam, again, I want to thank you. Thank everyone that joined us today. I hope you have a great rest of Distributed. And again, thanks everyone for joining.